Hi, I'm Keith Daffrin with Vexus Boats. I'm here on the famous Lake Fork Reservoir today, and we're in the new Vexus AVX 2080, and we just did a couple of mile run down a channel. And you know, hey, it's a nice day for Lake Fork. This place gets treacherous, but we run 60 mile an hour in this new 2080 into the wind. I did some high performance turns just to illustrate how much this boat not only looks like a fiberglass boat, but more importantly, it feels and fishes like one. And it's hard to explain without you being here in this boat in person, but I'll make an attempt. And there's a couple things that we do that really set us apart and allow this boat to differentiate itself from anything else in the market. One is the fact that we put a pad running surface under it, very similar to what you'd see in a fiberglass application. We do that with some processes in our production that gives us a repeatable hull that's very consistent. Oftentimes you see varying hulls with aluminum as they distort during the welding process, but we're able to overcome that, and that gives us high-end performance, fiberglass feel as you run down the lake. The second thing that we do is we inject foam flotation, the same that you'd see in a fiberglass type application throughout this boat. Not just enough to meet or exceed the Coast Guard specifications, but to do what we've intended to do, and that's act as an insulator and a stiffener for the boat. And so we're in a little light chop here, and there's no hull slap. You don't hear the hull slap or the oil canning effect that's commonplace in so many aluminum boats with our product, and that's throughout our product line. This AVX, it's got a 200 Pro XS Mercury on it. It's the new 4-stroke they just introduced. It's a great platform and a great engine power for this particular application. I've tournament fished out of this boat a number of times already. And there's so many things on the interior that I'll get around to showing you, but I think I really want to stress that if you get a chance to get in one of these boats, because that's the ultimate decision maker for you as a customer, and it's something we encourage because we take a lot of pride in the product that we're producing in Flippin, Arkansas, and really want you as a customer to experience it firsthand. So let's talk about the interior of this boat, because it's yet another example of what sets us apart. I think I mentioned that I've been tournament fishing out of this boat, so it's still rigged with my partner and I's equipment. You know, on my side, you see this huge rear storage box. It's a fiberglass box that's foamed into the boat itself, so it acts as structure, and it's also a dry box. You see these raised lips and the rubber seal, and coupled that, we paint the underside of the lids to prevent any oxidation. But watch as the lid, as I turn it, with this cam over effect, the compression locks hold that seal against the box itself, so it keeps it dry. From a tournament perspective, having a nice live well is critical. So we use a fiberglass live well, and it has a pump out feature, it has recirculation, and then I've added the oxygenator option here. You can actually see the oxygen coming out of it, and complete with, mine's rigged with coal buoys, obviously, because I've been fishing out of it. And you know, that's the back of the boat, but as you move to the front, now you see we're really turning into a tournament grade bass rig, because we're able to have 2 rod boxes. These aren't completely filled because we've been fishing out of it, but my partner and I had 25 rods in this boat the other day with room to spare. Individual tubes, you can sock the rods, double it up. They've got carpeted shelves. So these rods have made this same run with us, and they're not all tangled, they're not all piled on top of each other. And then on the starboard side, you're able to incorporate a couple of different things. One's an insulated cooler. Again, it's fiberglass and foam filled. And then the front storage box gives you room for life jackets, rain suits, and other tackle should the need arise. So underneath this boat, again, it's so much like a fiberglass. It's tournament rigged, but not tournament required, if that makes sense. So again, just take a look at the boat really from prop to prop, and let us show you those differences. Really, the last thing as it relates to the interior of the boat that I want to talk about that is substantially different than you see in other aluminum platforms are these stretch form gunnels. And these gunnels run along the edge of the boat, and they taper to the front. That gives it a look like a fiberglass boat, but it does more than that for you as a customer. It gives you increased front deck space. So if you can envision another aluminum boat, they're going to have straight sides and then a nose cone that's welded to those straight sides. Think of it as a John boat, just bigger. And And what that does is it limits your front deck space and it takes away the look. So we wanted stretch form gunnels that taper to the front, giving us as an angler room to stand side by side on the front, and then we incorporated the fiberglass recessed pedal and bow panel, so you can see the Solix 10 back mounted into the boat itself, and then this Ultrex trolling motor with the pedals down underneath. I'm not having to strain or lift my leg at all to run this boat. So I think it's just important to understand those differences are unique, and they're unique for a reason, because we're innovating and trying to bring different product to the marketplace. So there's 3 platforms on this AVX series. There's the 1880, 1980, and the 2080 that we're in, 115 horsepower, 150, and 200 horsepower rated, and they all have these same characteristics, and that's to allow you as a consumer to choose the application and the platform that applies to you. So you might not need a 200 horsepower motor, as an example. Well, you're not sacrificing anything going to the 1880 because a 115 fits your needs or your budget. So take a look at all of those and understand these differences are incorporated throughout the product line. All right, let's take a quick run in this thing. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, all right. I don't know if you just saw that, Keith driving. We just shot this video. It's probably the hardest thing I ever had to do was hold on to a camera going 65 miles an hour. But like, all I can tell you is this boat is not an aluminum boat. It's not an aluminum boat. If it was right now, you would hear all kinds of hull slap because we got some boat wakes because James Elam just drove by us. If you had a blindfold on, if these were black, you would not have any clue there was any aluminum in this boat. And if you were not looking down here, I don't know if you could see that, where there's some welds, couple welds there, you would never in a million years know this is an aluminum boat. This is the last session of a day where Keith has been taking out a bunch of guys, you know, random people, media people on the boat, and everybody comes back with like this glazed look on their face, like, holy cow, what was that? And that's what I have. That's what I'm trying to, that's why I'm trying to record this right now, so you guys can understand, like, when you step in the boat and you drive it or ride in it or fish out of it or whatever it is, you will see that this is the best way I can describe it, and this is not in any way meant to be insulting to Vexus or the guys who make them. It is a glass boat that has a aluminum wrapping on it. No, not wrapping like a wrapping paper, but, you know, much harder than that. But I mean, wow, that's all I have to say.